Natalie Ross checked her reflection in the car's rearview mirror one last time, adjusting the silver necklace Marcus had given her last Christmas. Tonight marked 3 years since their first date at Giovanni's, the Italian restaurant where he'd nervously spilled wine on the tablecloth while asking her to be his girlfriend. She smiled at the memory, pushing away the unease that had been building for months. Marcus had been distant lately, late nights at the office, distracted conversations, his phone always face down on the counter. But tonight would change everything. She'd left her marketing job early, picked up ingredients for his favorite meal, and even bought new candles that smelled like sandalwood and vanilla. Their apartment building came into view, and Natalie's heart lifted when she saw Marcus's silver sedan in its usual spot. He'd mentioned a late client meeting, but maybe he'd come home early too. Maybe he remembered what today meant. She climbed the stairs to their third-floor apartment, grocery bags in hand, already imagining his surprised face. The door was unlocked. Music played softly from inside. Was that the jazz playlist from their wedding reception? "Marcus," she called out, setting the bags on the kitchen counter. No response. The bedroom door was slightly ajar, warm light spilling into the hallway. Natalie approached, her footsteps silent on the hardwood floor. Then she heard it. A woman's laugh. Breathy and intimate. Achingly familiar. Natalie's hand trembled as she pushed the door open wider. Time fractured into razor-sharp fragments. Marcus and Diana, her colleague from the marketing firm, the woman who'd helped plan the company holiday party, were tangled together in the bed Natalie had made that morning. The sheets she'd washed on Sunday. The pillows where she'd laid her head beside her husband for 3 years. Diana saw her first. Her eyes widened, but there was no remorse in them. Only shock at being caught. Marcus scrambled up, his face draining of color. "Natalie, wait. Don't." The word came out strangled. Natalie backed away, her vision tunneling. The grocery bags. The candles. The anniversary she'd been planning for weeks while her husband was sleeping with someone she'd trusted. How long? Her voice sounded distant, like it belonged to someone else. Marcus grabbed his pants, unable to meet her eyes. "Nat, please, let me explain." "How long?" she demanded, her voice rising. "For months," Diana said quietly, pulling the sheet around herself. "I'm sorry, Natalie. We didn't mean for this to happen." 4 months. While Natalie had been working late on campaigns, covering for Diana's absences, trusting her husband when he said his late nights were about closing deals. All lies. Natalie turned and walked out. Not ran, walked. Each step deliberate, mechanical. She heard Marcus calling after her, scrambling for clothes, but she didn't stop. She grabbed her purse from the kitchen counter, leaving the groceries scattered across the marble. Left the candles still in their bag. Left everything she'd planned for a celebration that would never happen. Her car seemed to drive itself. Through streets blurred by tears she refused to acknowledge yet. Through intersections she didn't remember crossing. She ended up at her best friend's house, collapsing into Sarah's arms the moment the door opened. He was with Diana, Natalie finally managed between sobs. "In our bed. For 4 months." Sarah held her tight, whispering comfort that couldn't possibly reach the shattered place inside Natalie's chest. That night stretched endless and dark. Natalie replayed every moment, every missed sign, every lie she'd believed because she'd wanted to trust him. The pain was physical, a crushing weight that made breathing feel like drowning. The next morning brought harsh sunlight and reality. Natalie's phone overflowed with messages from Marcus, each more desperate than the last. Diana had sent a long text full of justifications that made Natalie want to scream. She deleted everything without reading past the first few words. "Stay as long as you need," Sarah said, bringing coffee. "Forever, if you want." "I need to work," Natalie replied, her voice hollow. "I need to do something besides think about this." For 2 weeks, Natalie moved through a gray fog. She hired a divorce attorney, moved her belongings out while Marcus was at work, and quit her job. She couldn't face Diana's presence daily. But she also applied everywhere, desperate for something new. The Sapphire Lounge hired her immediately. The upscale bar in the financial district needed experienced servers, and Natalie had waitressed through college. The work was demanding, the hours long, but she welcomed exhaustion. It meant sleeping without nightmares. Her 3rd week there, Adrian Stone walked in. He moved with quiet authority, tall, with dark hair silvered at the temples and eyes like storm clouds. His tailored charcoal suit probably cost more than Natalie's monthly rent. The manager personally seated him at his preferred corner table. Natalie approached with her professional smile firmly in place. "Good evening. What can I get you?" Adrian looked up from his phone, and their eyes met. Something flickered in his expression, recognition or curiosity. "Bourbon, neat. And the salmon, prepared however the chef recommends." His voice was deep, measured, carrying an edge of weariness Natalie recognized. She wrote the order, acutely aware of his gaze following her retreat. Throughout his meal, she felt him watching, not invasively, but with an intensity that made her hyper-aware of every movement. When she brought his check, he studied her directly. "You're new here. 3 weeks. You're efficient. Professional. But carrying something heavy." It wasn't a question. Natalie bristled. "I'm just doing my job, sir." "Adrian." He signed the check with a tip that made her blink. "And I meant it as observation, not criticism." I recognized the look. He stood, pulling a business card from his wallet. "Adrian Stone. I own the Lunar Resort Group. If you ever want something more than this, call me." Then he was gone, leaving Natalie staring at the card, her heart beating strangely fast. She had no idea this encounter would change everything. Adrian became a fixture at the Sapphire Lounge over the following weeks, always requesting Natalie's section. He ordered the same bourbon, asked thoughtful questions about her day, and left generous tips that felt less like charity and more like respect. Natalie found herself anticipating his visits. There was something steadying about his presence, something that pulled her from the spiral of pain and betrayal still consuming her quiet moments. One evening, as she cleared his table, Adrian set down his glass with deliberate care. "I have a position opening at my flagship resort. Personal event coordinator. I need someone organized, intuitive, and capable of handling high-pressure situations with grace." Natalie's hands stilled. "Mr. Stone." "Adrian. And I'm serious. You have exactly the qualities I need. The salary would be triple what you make here, full benefits, and the opportunity to build something meaningful." He slid a folder across the table. "Details are inside. Think about it." That night, Natalie spread the papers across Sarah's coffee table. The position was real, coordinating exclusive events for wealthy clients at Adrian's luxury mountain resort. The salary made her dizzy. "This is insane," Sarah breathed. "Adrian Stone is one of the wealthiest men in the country." "Why you?" "I don't know." But even as Natalie said it, she felt something stirring. Not just curiosity, but possibility. The chance to be more than a woman picking up pieces of her shattered marriage. 3 days later, Natalie walked into Lunar Resort's headquarters wearing a borrowed suit. The building was modern glass and stone, reaching skyward like crystallized ambition. Adrian's office overlooked the city, minimalist and elegant. He stood when she entered, gesturing to a chair. "I wasn't certain you'd come. I almost didn't. But I'm tired of letting fear make my decisions." Something flickered in his eyes, approval, recognition. Fear is a terrible compass. He slid a contract across the desk. "The position starts immediately if you accept. My only requirements are discretion and reliability." Natalie scanned the contract, her pulse racing. This was real. This was her chance to truly start over. She signed her name, the motion both terrifying and liberating. "Welcome to Lunar Resort Group," Adrian said, and he smiled, the first real smile she'd seen from him. It transformed his entire face, revealing warmth beneath the controlled exterior. The first month was intense. Natalie coordinated high-profile events, managed demanding clients, and learned the intricate machinery of luxury hospitality. Adrian was exacting but fair, pushing her to exceed her own expectations. She began to see past his intimidating presence. He was brilliant but lonely, carrying wounds he rarely showed. She recognized it because she felt it too, that particular isolation from being hurt so deeply you forget how to let anyone close. They fell into an easy rhythm, professional but tinged with something deeper. Mutual understanding. Shared recognition of pain. During a charity gala at the resort, Natalie saw Marcus across the ballroom. He was with Diana, her hand possessive on his arm. Natalie's stomach dropped, progress threatening to crumble. Marcus approached, Diana trailing behind. "Natalie, you look different. I didn't know you worked in events now." "I didn't know you'd moved on so quickly," Natalie replied, voice steadier than she felt. "We should talk about the divorce settlement," Marcus began. Adrian appeared at her side, his hand resting lightly on her lower back. The gesture was protective, unmistakably possessive. "Ms. Ross is working," Adrian said coldly. "Perhaps you could schedule through her attorney rather than interrupting a professional event." Marcus's eyes widened, recognition dawning. "Adrian Stone? You two are. What we are isn't your concern anymore," Natalie said, finding her voice. "You made your choice, Marcus. Now I'm making mine." She turned back to the event, heart pounding. Adrian's hand never left her back until they were alone. "Thank you," she whispered. "You don't thank someone for standing beside you," Adrian replied quietly. "That's just what you do for people you care about." Later that night, in his office after the guests had gone, Natalie finally broke. Months of pain poured out in shaking sobs. Adrian pulled her close without hesitation, letting her cry against his shoulder. "I'm sorry," she gasped. "This is so unprofessional." "Forget professional." His voice was gentle. "You deserved better than what he gave you." "I know because I've been where you are." Natalie pulled back, seeing vulnerability in his eyes. "What happened?" "My wife Elena. I thought we were building this empire together. She was feeding competitor information to her lover, my business partner. They nearly destroyed everything." His jaw tightened. "I saved the company but lost my ability to trust anyone. Until you." The admission hung between them, creating a connection deeper than business. "Natalie, I don't do this, don't let people close. But you make me want to try." Her breath caught. "Adrian, I don't know if I'm ready." "Then we go slow," he said, tucking hair behind her ear. "But don't shut me out because you're afraid. I've lived that way too long. It's lonely." Natalie nodded, unable to speak. For the first time in months, she felt something fragile and terrifying, hope. Over the following weeks, the walls between Natalie and Adrian crumbled. Their conversation stretched beyond work. He shared stories of building his empire from nothing, she revealed abandoned dreams of photography. He made her laugh with dry observations about difficult clients. She softened his sharp edges with warmth and optimism. One morning, Natalie found a package on her desk. Inside was a professional camera with a note in Adrian's precise handwriting: "Dreams deferred are not dreams denied." Tears blurred her vision, tears of gratitude for being truly seen. Their relationship deepened into something undeniable. But Adrian remained guarded about certain aspects of his life, deflecting questions about his home, his past, anything too personal. One evening after a successful resort opening, Adrian seemed particularly tense. They sat in his office, city lights glittering below. "There's something I need to tell you," he said quietly. "Something that might change how you see me." Natalie's stomach tightened. "Adrian, what is it?" He paced, running a hand through his hair. "My wife Elena, I told you she betrayed me. But I didn't tell you everything. She wasn't entirely human." Natalie blinked, processing his words carefully. "What do you mean?" "She was an extraterrestrial researcher studying Earth's hospitality and social structures. We fell in love despite the impossibility. She died 5 years ago giving birth to our daughter." His voice cracked. "Luna is half human, half alien. Her skin has a purple tone from Elena's genetics. I've kept her hidden because if anyone discovered her existence." "You have a daughter?" Natalie whispered. "Yes. She's 8 but intellectually far beyond her years. She's never been to school, never played with other children. She lives in my private residence with round-the-clock security." He finally met her eyes. "I'm telling you because I'm falling in love with you, Natalie. But you deserve to know what you'd be accepting." Natalie stood, moving to him. Her mind reeled, but her heart knew its answer. "Show me. Let me meet her." Adrian looked stunned. "You believe me?" "Show me," she repeated. They drove to Adrian's estate outside the city, a modern fortress hidden among trees. Inside, past layers of security, was a beautiful space filled with books, art supplies, and windows overlooking protected forest. A small girl sat reading, her skin a soft lavender shade that seemed to shimmer in the light. She had Adrian's features but Elena's extraordinary coloring. Her large eyes held ancient wisdom. "Luna," Adrian said gently. "This is Natalie. She's someone very important to me." Luna studied Natalie with unnerving intensity. "Your cardiac rhythm elevated when you saw me. Fear or surprise?" "Surprise," Natalie said honestly, kneeling. "And wonder." "You're beautiful, Luna." "You mean that?" "Most humans would be frightened." The girl tilted her head. "Father speaks about you constantly. You make him happy." Over the following weeks, Natalie visited regularly. She brought art supplies, played games, and listened to Luna's fascinating observations about human behavior. The child was brilliant, lonely, and starving for connection. Natalie fell in love with both of them, the guarded man learning to trust again, and the extraordinary girl who needed someone to see her as a child, not an anomaly. One night on Adrian's terrace, after Luna was asleep, he pulled Natalie close. "Thank you," he murmured against her hair. "For accepting us. For not running." "I love you," Natalie said simply. "Both of you. This is where I belong." Their kiss was tender and deep, full of promises about futures neither had expected to find. Natalie was reviewing event proposals when her phone buzzed with an unknown number. Against her better judgment, she answered. "Natalie." Marcus's voice made her stomach clench. "We need to talk. In person. We have nothing to discuss. My lawyer handles everything. This isn't about the divorce. This is about Adrian Stone and his unusual daughter." Ice flooded her veins. "What did you say?" "I've been watching you. Following your new life. Imagine my surprise discovering that your billionaire boyfriend is hiding a purple-skinned child." His voice turned cruel. "That's quite the secret. Wonder what the media would pay for that story?" Natalie's hand shook. "Marcus, you don't understand. I understand you humiliated me by moving on so quickly. You embarrassed me in front of Diana at that gala. Maybe it's time you experienced some consequences." He paused. "Meet me tonight. Pier 42. Come alone, or I start making calls." The line went dead. Natalie immediately called Adrian, explaining everything. His face went pale. He's bluffing. He has to be. But that night, Adrian's security team confirmed Marcus had photographs, Luna playing in the estate gardens, her distinctive appearance clearly visible. "We have to move her," Adrian said, pacing his office. "Tonight. Before he does something stupid. Or I meet with him," Natalie said quietly. "Face this directly." "Absolutely not. He could be dangerous. He's my ex-husband. I know him. He wants to hurt me, not Luna. Let me try to reason with him." Adrian pulled her close, his fear palpable. "I can't lose you. Not when I've just found you." "You won't," she promised. "But I need to protect Luna. She's innocent in all this." That evening, Natalie arrived at Pier 42 with Adrian's security watching from a distance. Marcus waited near the water, Diana beside him. "You brought her?" Natalie said incredulously. "She has a right to see this," Marcus replied. "See you beg." "I'm not begging. I'm asking you, Marcus, for whatever we once meant to each other, don't hurt that child. She's done nothing to you." "That thing isn't a child," Diana sneered. "It's a freak. And the world deserves to know." Rage flooded Natalie. "That thing is an 8-year-old girl who reads philosophy and paints galaxies and dreams of seeing the ocean someday. She's brilliant and kind and innocent. Whatever anger you have toward me, don't punish her." Marcus's expression wavered. "You destroyed our marriage by leaving." "No," Natalie said firmly. "You destroyed it by sleeping with my colleague in our bed. I just stopped pretending everything was fine." "Give me the photos," she continued. "Walk away. Or I release information about your embezzlement from our joint accounts." "Yes, my lawyer found those too." "Your choice." Marcus paled. After a long moment, he pulled a flash drive from his pocket and threw it at her feet. "We're done," he spat, walking away with Diana. Natalie retrieved the drive with shaking hands, then collapsed against her car as Adrian rushed over. "It's over," she sobbed into his chest. "He's gone." But even as relief flooded through her, Adrian's security chief approached with troubling news. Marcus wasn't the only threat. Someone else had been investigating Luna's existence, a private military contractor interested in extraterrestrial genetics. "We need to disappear," Adrian said grimly. "All of us. Tonight." 3 months later, Natalie stood on a private island in the Caribbean, watching Luna run along the beach. The girl's purple skin gleamed in the sunlight as waves crashed around her. For the first time in her young life, she was free. Adrian had purchased the island and converted it into an exclusive resort, a working business that provided perfect cover for their hidden family. Natalie coordinated intimate events for wealthy clients who valued privacy above all else, never knowing they were funding a sanctuary. Luna thrived. Natalie homeschooled her, combining Earth curriculum with the girl's extraordinary knowledge of her mother's world. The child created stunning artwork blending both heritages, paintings of purple skies over Earth oceans, sculptures representing emotions as tangible forms. Natalie's photography business flourished too. She documented the island's natural beauty, and her work was featured in luxury travel magazines under a pseudonym. She'd finally reclaimed the passion she'd abandoned for Marcus. The divorce was finalized. Marcus had signed everything quietly after Natalie's lawyer presented evidence of his embezzlement. Diana had left him shortly after, seeking someone with better prospects. Natalie felt nothing about it, they belonged to a past life that no longer defined her. One evening, Adrian found Natalie on the beach watching sunset paint the sky in brilliant colors. Luna was building sandcastles nearby, humming softly. "She's happy," Natalie said. "Really, truly happy." "So am I," Adrian replied, wrapping his arms around her from behind. "You gave us that." He turned her to face him, dropping to one knee in the sand. Luna stopped humming, watching with bright eyes. Natalie Ross, you walked into my life carrying pieces of a shattered heart. But instead of letting that brokenness define you, you used it to recognize ours. You loved Luna when the world would call her impossible. You loved me when I'd forgotten how to trust. He pulled out a ring with a purple stone that seemed to glow from within. This was Elena's. Before she died, she told me to give it to someone who could love Luna as their own. Tears streamed down Natalie's face as Luna ran over, bouncing excitedly. Will you marry me? Adrian asked. Will you be Luna's mother and my partner in this extraordinary life? Yes, Natalie whispered. Yes, absolutely yes. Luna cheered, throwing her arms around both of them. I knew she'd say yes. I painted it last month. They laughed together, holding each other as the sun dipped below the horizon. Adrian slipped the glowing ring on Natalie's finger and kissed her deeply while Luna danced around them singing in a language that was half English, half something beautifully alien. Later that night, after Luna was asleep, Adrian and Natalie stood on their terrace watching stars emerge across the infinite sky. I thought finding Marcus with Diana was the worst moment of my life, Natalie said softly. But it led me here. To you. To Luna. To the family I didn't know I was searching for. Sometimes betrayal is just the universe making room for something better, Adrian replied, pulling her close. Natalie thought about the woman she'd been, trapped in a marriage that was slowly killing her spirit, ignoring her own dreams to support someone who didn't value her. That woman would never have been brave enough to accept this life, this love, this extraordinary child who needed her. The betrayal had shattered her, yes. But from those broken pieces, she'd rebuilt herself into someone stronger, braver, more capable of love than she'd ever imagined. She looked at the ring glowing on her finger, a piece of another world, binding her to a man who'd learned to trust again and a child who was proof that love transcends every boundary. I'm home, she whispered. We all are, Adrian agreed. On the beach below, the tide rolled in under starlight, washing away old footprints and creating space for new ones. Their story wasn't about being rescued, it was about choosing to heal, choosing to trust again, choosing to build something beautiful from the ruins of what came before. The past couldn't be changed, but the future stretched before them full of possibility, adventure, and love that crossed galaxies. And that was more than enough.